astronauts to the moon.
What's going on, everyone? Jeranism back again. Another video for you. Today's is cool. I think that it's got the info that may be needed for any of you globetrotters. It might be the one thing that switches you to a belief in something new, something different, something that actually works in this place we call reality. Not like the globe theory, which still holds no water or holds all the water, depending on how you look at it. So I want to talk about this superior bullshit, also known as the superior mirage, which lifts magically images 3,000 feet into the sky. Even though science doesn't believe in magic, sometimes they do, only when it fits their agenda. And I've also got a little piece on some stars. We'll talk about that. Just as you think about airplanes flying around the globe as well, as planes went around it, they would be turning upside down and all kinds of different directions. People would be standing in every direction. If we told everyone to look north at the same time, they'd be all looking in many different directions. But this is something that's hard to depict in a drawing or an image. This is something you really need to, if you're interested in it and you care, take 10 minutes and really just think about the globe. Hopefully this little video helps you. So here you see the Earth. I'm just in Google Earth, viewing it from the outside. Now watch the stars as I rotate the Earth, and I'm pretending that we are in North America. And if I'm just turning the globe the way that it would turn, counterclockwise, you'll see that the stars behind you go in a perpendicular fashion. You would see the stars flash in front of you, going right to left or left to right, and that's it. You would not see them do a circle. In order to get the stars to do a circle, and you'll see now I'm turning the globe end over end, still not getting the same results. The only way that I can get the stars to do the circle that we all see, each one of us see it every single night, is to get underneath the globe and turn it while looking up. Meaning that the only person in the world that can see what we all see is the person standing at the North Pole, who would be spinning at that North Pole point, and the stars would be doing a circle around his head. Also, yes, the person on the South Pole would see the same thing from the South Stars. But this is not at all matching with reality. Go look at time lapses. Look at anybody who's ever taken a time-lapse photo of the stars. Go tonight and watch the stars. They do not pass in front of you right to left. It doesn't work. And here you go. You can see I'm going underneath the globe now and looking up. Takes me a little minute here. I'm not the best at Google Earth, so sometimes I got to mess around with the directions a little. But you'll see here now that I grab it and start spinning it, you'll see that the sky finally turns in the correct way. Now, the way that it's been explained to me is that we all occupy the location at the top of the globe. So this is just NASA and science excuses that do not conform to reality, just like everything they tell you that works on their globe. We cannot all occupy the top position. That's why I'm asking, why can't I see a picture of buildings upside down on the Earth? Why can't I see pictures of the Eiffel Tower standing sideways? Because it's impossible. Because buildings don't stand sideways, ever. Not under gravity, not in space, nothing. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. When have you ever seen that in any other part of your life? None. They tell you it happens, and you all believe them. I understand that. I was a believer too. But if you take 10 minutes and really just start thinking about what the globe means, how we would all live on the globe with these massive curvatures of water. I mean, you'd have half the boats going uphill, half the boats going downhill. Yes, I know what science says. Don't come write me and say, no, you don't understand. Everyone has the same force of gravity on them. Therefore, there is no up or downhill. I understand that, but it's bullshit. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And that, last but not least, is the fact that science does require that you believe them. And if you can't see it, nothing I say is going to make you open your eyes to it. You need to look at it yourself. I know how great everyone thinks science is. I know what a perfect organization you think they are. because you don't understand that they've set up a system that can't fail. It's a system that you can't lose in because they're always right. If they're not right about something, then they're right because they're right on the next day. And if one of their theories from 10 years ago gets disproven, well, they're right today. So you have a bunch of little boys running around thinking they're cool, going into forums and making fun of Christians because they have science backing them, which is basically just a get-out-of-jail-free card. You can go into any debate and you can't lose. Who can beat science? What kind of evidence are you going to give that the person's going to go, oh, you're right, you win this debate. My scientific evidence means nothing compared to your evidence. It's impossible. Science has given itself a free pass into every person's mind and heart as the truth. When it's not the truth, it's an accepted group of dogmas. It's an accepted foundation of nonsense that people have bought into. Hats off to science, but if that's what you want to believe, I'm not going to be able to help you. It's theoretical physics. It's stuff like that that is not based in reality. Gravity is not based in reality. A globe is not based in reality. 25 trillion or 400 trillion miles for a star, not based in reality. All this stuff, 92 million miles for the damn sun, is not based in reality. Oh, it'll be 8 minutes when the sun blows up until you find out. Yeah, sure. Why don't you test that? Why don't you show us? Oh, you can't. You're just making it up, just like everything else. 4.55 billion years old is the Earth. My ass. So to all the Globetrotters, try and follow along. I know we're not spinning at 1,050 miles per hour. We're not hurling through space at 66,000 miles per hour, so maybe you can't keep up. But if you can't, then take your ball and go home. Or you can go to Mars. You and Elon Musk. That's going to happen. Just get on a space shuttle, fly all the way to Mars. You'll just get off there and live happily ever after. Forget about the fact that your bones will deteriorate. All that stuff is unimportant. You're going to Mars. You're going to travel the universe. Hyperspeed through wormholes. All that stuff's really going to happen. I suggest you get with reality.
Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration.
The funniest thing for me is I was a former theist, former Catholic, and I'm more upset at myself for formerly believing in science than I am. I can accept the fact that I believed in religion. It's not that far-fetched. Science is out of this world far-fetched. It is a joke. You no longer deal truthfully, even though science never should have touted truth, since science is a method to come to probability levels, and the significance of which is left for you to judge. Science doesn't know the truth. It should be the method that we all use to search for truth. Your current equations on top of conjecture mixed with theories that always find a way to rationalize with a predetermined belief, like if gravity isn't working, then you add dark matter. The universe is expanding, then you pull the cosmological constant. Now you need it again, okay, put it back in. Just as we humans have learned that the Pope isn't the all-knowing, the knower of all things, well, we've learned the same thing from scientists. You got Dawkins, who can't even explain evolution, Krauss saying something can come from nothing. And why does this all continue? You guys remember Galileo? He wasn't conforming to the high priest dogma. So what do you think that peer review is? It's a scientific circle jerk, and it doesn't look pretty with each of you guys standing there with your heads up your ass. We're just no longer impressed by the man behind the curtain. So, speaking of that, let's talk about what a superior mirage is. And I couldn't really tell you what it is other than being complete and total bullshit. I have seen some examples of it before. Maybe some people have seen images before where a boat may appear to be a couple feet off the water due to some sort of mirage where the item is lifted from our vantage point. That's basically what it is. Well, the all-time biggest bullshit use of it came a couple weeks ago when somebody took a picture from Grandmere, Michigan to Chicago. Now, those two shores are 59 miles apart based on the curvature of the Earth, which is a known fact, which is a given, which is never to be questioned again. That can't even come close to happening. And I'm going to show you both the video footage, show you the picture, and then show you the math involved in figuring out how far we should be able to see, and then we can decide together whether or not it is a superior mirage or superior bullshit of the superior theory of flat Earth. So first things first, the number one question I get continually asked is why can't we all see to both ends of the earth if we are on a flat plane? And the reason why is because humans don't have vision of infinity. There is a set limit to what we can see, which could depend on atmospheric pressure, could depend on the haze, the smog, what kind of heavy industrialized area are you in, etc., etc. So, that being said, the image coming up on your screen, I'm going to be finishing up a video soon on, where I'll cover it a lot more, but basically it's just kind of a belief that there is a certain maximum to our eyesight based on the amount of air molecules between you and wherever you're looking. And it's probably pretty constant. I'm guessing it's around what they tell us it is for the horizon. But anyway, look for that video. It'll kind of give us a better idea of how far we can see and why we can't see to infinity. As far as figuring out the Earth curvature for an area, that's easy. You just take 8 times the distance in miles times the distance in miles. Then you take that and divide by 12, and that will be your answer in feet. So, for example, we'll do 2 miles of distance. To figure out what the curve would be there, 8 times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32, and that gives us our inches. Then we divide by 12 if we want to get our feet, and we get 2.66 as the amount of curvature of the Earth in between you and 2 miles away from you. This should be able to be measured, and is not. Let's look at an example of such craziness that it actually almost single-handedly got me a full belief in the flat Earth. And that is between California and Hawaii, 2,468 miles. Take that number times 2468, 8 times 2468 times 2468, and you get some incredible amount of inches. I think it's like 50 million. Divide that by 12 and you get 4 million. And then you can take that 4 million and divide that by 5280 to go from feet to miles. And your answer is 769 miles of curvature. Look it up. Again, don't ever believe me. Don't think I'm telling you to believe me. I'm not trying to fool anyone. That is the answer. So, knowing that, imagine a few things for me. For instance, the ISS flies about between 150 and 250 miles in space, supposedly. Now, how would there be a 769-mile-high hump in between California and Hawaii? Well, believe it or not, wake up, knock, knock, McFly, anyone there? If you believe in the globe, then you believe there is a hump of water that is 100 times higher than any plane flies in between California and Hawaii that cannot be measured, that you call science. Cannot be measured or tested, you call it science. Scientific method, yet you don't use the scientific method. It just makes no sense to me. I've actually seen comments from people who say that they're all about science, they back science and everything, that tell me that if the Earth was flat, there wouldn't be a horizon. Craziness. Insane. Anyway, take a look at the picture. It's awesome. I actually have seen that this guy has more, but this one I found on another site, so I feel safe using it, but his other photos have watermarks, and he has not responded to me yet, so I am not going to use them. So hopefully I'll get some more. Let's watch this video and see what this newscaster's got to say about it. See if I've got something to say about him.
Until I found this photo from Grand Mere State Park. This is from Joshua Nowicki, and what you're seeing here is a mirage. We typically would not be able to see this from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake that we're actually seeing a mirage.
That is not a mirage. Okay? You can know a mirage when you see it on the road and it looks like water. You may see a little something at the end of the horizon at the beach. That, my friends, not a mirage.
Of the Chicago skyline. Very interesting here. Here's what's happening. This is a good example of a superior mirage. So Joshua was on the Lake Michigan shore. He was looking towards the west, and Chicago's beyond the horizon. Should not be able to see it. However, with the right conditions, we have an inversion. We have cold air near the cold lake water and some relatively warmer air above it. This will bend the image of that skyline back towards the viewer. And so typically we would not be able to see this. This image would be viewable from much, much higher in the sky, up in space. But instead, we're able to see it on the Lake Michigan shore.
Survey said.
Everything that guy just says is bullshit. Thank you.
And what you're seeing here is a mirage. We typically would not be able to see this from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake that we're actually seeing a mirage of the Chicago skyline. Very interesting here. Here's what's happening. This is a good example of a superior mirage. So Joshua was on the Lake Michigan shore. He was looking towards the west, and Chicago's beyond the horizon. Should not be able to see it. However, with the right conditions, we have an inversion.
Oh, the right conditions. Tell us what those are.
We have cold air near the cold lake water and some relatively warmer air above it. This will bend the image.
Hold it! What the hell is that shit?
But instead, we're able to see it on the Lake Michigan shore.
Why must you needlessly complicate everything?
So did you guys hear what he said? That it takes special atmospheric conditions, which are cold water existing at the lake and slightly warmer air above it. Isn't that every day? So while I play with Google Earth here and give you a perspective from the beach side all the way over to Chicago, let's think about something. Basically, for you to continue believing in the globe, you must believe in this superior mirage. And we're going to do the math after this video just to show you we know what buildings I'm talking about. And you can go do the math yourself. Again, please don't believe me. I'm a moron, remember? I might get my numbers wrong. And what we really need to think about, though, is when I show you the math, that mirage is going to be 3,000 feet off the ground. So do you really think you've seen mirages before on the highway, flat areas, even at the horizon? You maybe have seen what they call a ghost ship. Are those ever 3,000-mile mirages with lights? It's ridiculous. And again, it's all an excuse to block you from knowing the truth, keep you in the dark, think you live on a globe, which is simply impossible. For all you mathematicians out there, do the math. If you do the math, it's impossible. You would be able to see the curvature of a 25,000-mile circumference Earth being 10,000 feet off the ground. And when I say see the curve, I don't mean the way the parrots all say they see the curve.
I see a curve. I see a curve. Gravity. Gravity. Earth's a globe. Earth's a globe.
Yeah, I absolutely hate the parrots. Can't even tie their own shoes, yet they can tell me they know about evolution. Sure you can. So let's do the math. Distance from Grand Mare to Chicago was 59 miles. So we do our little equation, 8 times 59 times 59 equals 27,848. Divided by 12 equals 2,320 feet. So that is the amount of curvature, ground to ground, that would be existing in a 59-mile stretch. So is that what we saw in the picture of the mirage? Well, here we get to see what the math shows us it should look like. You'll see I took 4 buildings that we could recognize from those pictures in the Google Earth. Took each of their heights, including the Sears Tower, which stands 1451 or thereabouts. And this is what we should have seen. We should have seen the curvature of the Earth being the blue line, our line of sight being the green line, being at our total height of 2,000 plus. We shouldn't have seen any buildings. But what did we see? We saw this. Quite a bit different, and a difference of about 3,000 feet, and it's not a mirage. It is simply being able to see further than the owners of this world thought that we'd be able to. So they got something wrong. Here's the picture again. Now, I think for some of you, that's the final straw. I think a few people out there probably see the truth now. There really is no way around it. We're seeing further than we mathematically can on a globe. So I understand the breakup may be tough. So grab some box of tissue, go get in bed with the globe, tell a little bedtime story, what it was like 4.55 billion years ago when it was just a swirling pile of dust, and by tomorrow you'll be over it and ready to face the world flat as it is. But we know how it is, that some of you out there are just going to keep fighting this. You just love that globe so much, you're going to make excuses for it. You're like that girl that's got a boyfriend that beats her, yet she blames herself and tells everybody that he loves her and that's why he does it, to protect her. You're going to be the same way with the globe, so you too need to go grab a box of tissue, go get in bed with your globe, and let's leave it at that. I mean, as long as you guys are two consenting adults, as long as you're 18, the Earth's 4.55 billion years, it's consenting adults. We'll stay out of your business.
Let's Marvin Gaye and get it on.
This just in, theory of evolution equal to the theory that Kim Jong-un has no anus. Wow. Charles Darwin, 1872, said, "To suppose that the eye could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd to the highest possible degree."
This is actually not a bad imitation of exactly what's on the moon that we're shining the laser into. In fact, the specific one we're shining into was left there by the Apollo 15 crew. Now, we're firing on the order of 200 quadrillion photons per laser pulse at that reflector, and we're getting between 1 and 3 photons back per pulse if we're lucky. When we get
That's 0.00000000000000015%.
that photon back, we'll see a spike like that on the screen.
I am slewing the telescope to the lunar highlands.
Slew away.
Test number 1, shining our laser at a portion of the moon's surface devoid of all man-made objects, including retroreflectors, known to locals as the lunar highlands.
There's the moon. You can see the craters.
With the laser pointed at a random location on the moon's surface,
Initiating laser.
Dr. McMillan pulses 200 quadrillion photons into the night sky.
So we're shining the laser on the lunar highlands now, and we're getting nothing back except background light.
As expected, the lunar regolith, with its reflectivity index or albedo of approximately 8%, simply scatters the beam, and the sensors back here at the observatory detect no reflected light.
Now I'm going to move to Apollo 15.
Apollo 15, crewed by Scott, Irwin, and Warden, set down at the base of the lunar Apennine Mountains, which is where they placed the retroreflector.
Wow.
That's the location where Apollo 15 landed on the moon.
That is so cool.
Initiating laser on retroreflector from Apollo 15. And there's a spike beginning to stand out.
Is that it?
That's the return from Apollo 15. Light returning from the laser retroreflector at exactly the wavelength and distance that we were expecting.
That is so cool. I know you do this like 100 times a year, but it's really thrilling to watch it happen right in front of us.
Not just thrilling, but conclusive.
Replicating all the circumstances that were held up as evidence that that we never actually went there and that these things were faked. And once we were able to recreate these scenarios, then we started putting the elements in place, like shadows, like we replicate a moon gravity situation, and you know, got in a spacesuit and went through it, and all these kinds of things. Once we had that set up, then we could clearly go about showing you know, whether say a shadow was proof that something was faked or not. And we were very surprisingly easily able to go through and show that these were all natural environments that could occur, and there was absolutely no tooth to any of these statements.
Adam, you have the flag flapping in the breeze, but there's no breeze on the moon.
Yeah, and that was one of the most common claims by moon landing deniers, or nutbags, as I like to call them. And Cary Grant and Torrey took a flag built to the exact specs of the flag that NASA took to the moon, and they actually were given access to a full-size room that NASA was able to pump all the air out of to turn into a vacuum chamber. They put that flag in the vacuum chamber, and lo, it turns out
that without an atmosphere, that flag, after you put it in place, rocks back and forth a lot longer than you would imagine, living in a world with atmosphere, which is exactly what happened on the moon. It had a bar on top to hold the flag straight out. I don't think anyone disputes that. And then as the astronaut moved it into place for the camera, it rocked back and forth for long enough that people seemed to think that there was a breeze, but there was not. It was just physics.
Well, you guys are known as the Mythbusters. And there was one guy, I think, what's his name here, Bart Seabrill, who went all the way. He made a documentary film, debunking the whole mission to the moon. And it was a funny thing happened on the way to the moon. But I think that Buzz Aldrin has to really be one of the real Mythbusters, because when Seabrill approached him, shouting at him, "You're a liar, a coward, and a thief." Well, let's show the audience a clip of that.
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
And there Buzz Aldrin just clocks him on the spot. How did that feel for a Mythbuster?
He's an honorary Mythbuster for that.
Your thoughts, Adam?
Sorry, Buzz Aldrin's my hero for doing that. It's one thing if you want to believe that there's questions, but to impugn the honesty of someone like Buzz Aldrin, those original Apollo astronauts were an incredible group of really brave men who did an amazing, amazing feat. They were at the business end of a very terrifying endeavor, and we've had the honor to meet a few of them, and if I ever meet Buzz Aldrin, I haven't met him yet, but if I ever meet him, I'm buying him a drink for that.
Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing when people get so insistent about this kind of thing, and sometimes you just got to pop them one, I guess.
So I just want to make sure I have this right. You guys used to be Mythbusters. Now you're a couple bitches who are sellouts. And you probably work for some dark force. I can't think of who.
Could it be Satan?
And now, Intellectual Scientific Thoughts by Jeranism. Sometimes I wish I backed science. I'd spend all day in debate forums beating everyone. It'd be easy. I'd ask for their evidence and of course would have all my scientific facts and evidence ready, so I could never be beat no matter where I went, except for when I saw a female and peed my pants. Let's end it on a good note with a little Lawrence Krauss. Please, Lawrence, tell us more about how something can come from nothing.
Let's go back a second, okay? Nothing is unstable. What do you mean that nothing is unstable? Nothingness is nothingness.
Well, the physics has changed what we mean by nothing. In fact, nothing is a empty space, is a boiling, bubbling brew of virtual particles popping in and out of existence
wait,
so
no,
fast.
that's not nothing. That's something. Is there something instead of nothing?
It's really easy because nothing's unstable. And in fact, there's no evidence for any deity. Everything we know about the laws of physics, which are remarkable and have changed everything about the way we think about the universe, what nothing is and what something is. This table here is mostly empty space.
This table cost me $500. Well, you tell me I got ripped off?
In fact, empty space weighs something.
Empty space weighs something.
In fact, it's the dominant stuff in the universe. Nothing
so
is almost everything.
I am never going to lose those last 5 pounds.
First, empty space, which I'd say is probably the nothing of the Bible, an eternal, dark, empty void.
Do you mean like a true hard vacuum? That would be, that's nothing that you're talking about?
Most people would have thought that would be nothing.
That's what I think nothing is.
And then I
also,
tell you that...
Baltimore. Other people you should buy it.
Buying it is important.
Buying it's good.
Yeah,
okay, but why does what you're saying have to be an attack on my God?
It doesn't have to be an attack.
But that's all you've done. You've attacked my God for the last 6 minutes.
No, you have. All I've said is you don't need him.
That's an attack.
No,
of course we are here to love God and serve God.
As we understand it, we have changed our minds about the universe. We've learned that the universe is more remarkable than anything we ever thought before. And in fact, changing your mind and in fact being wrong is wonderful. You should try it sometime. It's really amazing. It means that the fact that the universe is more remarkable than the fairy tales that were talked about by Bronze Age literate peasants before we knew the Earth orbited the sun.
You're not attacking at all, but go ahead.
No, but I mean,
Les, so you say, so you believe there's no God?
I don't even use the word believe. The point is there is
no God.
There's no need for God.
Is there God? Is there God?
It's
what would you say?
There's no evidence for God.
Okay.
There's no evidence for God.
So but let me ask something. If there is no God, okay, if there is no thing called God, if he is nothing, can't something come from him? Lawrence Krauss, thank you so much.
All right, guys, it's been fun. Hope to see you again soon. Let's real quick recap what we learned today. The Mythbusters are now named the Myth Adjusters. Superior mirages are inferior to garages. That the origin of species has its origin in feces. That the curve is absurd. Lawrence Krauss was the best comedian in the house. That the current globe issues will require some tissues. And don't be a parrot. If you liked my video, share it. Reminding you all, this is Jeranism. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind. There's truth inside. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace.